I'm back,
Hi.
or whatever the tone was when Cam Newton said that when he returned to Carolina briefly for the second run go around. But yeah, I'm back. Joe Quills here. Mike's here with me. It's Monday night, of course.
Of
Mike,
course.
welcome in.
Hey, Joe, welcome.
Uh, so we got a lot to talk about here tonight. But it doesn't look like we have a lot of topics tonight. We could probably sneak something in as well between now and the end of the show, but we're going to be heavy on scriptless stuff tonight. I'll recap my vacation because it wasn't really a vacation. Vacation was kind of working, so we'll get into that. Um, Justin Tucker got released by the Ravens in a tough decision.
Right.
We'll get into that. Um, I'll add the lottery, the NHL lottery, because they actually did it a little bit different than than the NBA, which I appreciated. So we'll get into that, and we have not one, not two, but three stupid shit that I saw stories.
Oh, my.
One you definitely know about
Okay.
because it happened in your neck of the woods.
Right.
The second one, yeah, it kept popping up on my feed. I finally bit and I found the article.
Okay.
And the third one I found last night on YouTube on Yahoo.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Yahoo is a great aggregator of news stories, and yeah, it's a crazy story, and in a way, it is a poop related story because he looks like shit, but he's not actually shit. But we'll get into that as well. So,
Okay.
but good to be back, and also, should I announce the summer schedule now or should I wait?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'll do it now.
Yeah. Might as well.
All right, so I am in summer schedule mode, which means that I will be streaming this show Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'm taking Wednesdays off. And then also eligible will still run on Saturday. So Wednesday will be my off night. I am guessing if I start doing interviews on also eligible, that may be a night that I do them.
Okay.
So I could do them on Thursday night and just start late, for example. Whatever happens, happens. Uh, but we'll see what comes up. So starting this week, no Wednesday night shows. So I'll update my Twitch page as well later tonight, which probably means it won't get done. Kind of like the audio podcast where they never show up. But so I'm back. Returned to work today, allegedly.
Ah, that's what that was. Okay.
Now I did see there was this one story. There was a guy, and how true this is, I don't know because I didn't research it, but it pops up on my timeline every once in a while. A guy didn't go to work for 6 years, and he didn't get caught until he was named Employee of the Year or Employee of the Month. But if that's true, then so be it. But I don't think it is. But
I don't think
whatever.
that's true either.
I don't think it's true. But it also wouldn't surprise me either.
Well,
But
yeah.
so let's talk about vacation. So Mike was here Monday. We did an afternoon show,
Yes.
and I kicked him out,
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Yeah.
or more like he kicked me out of his car. I got the ass crack to prove it. Uh, so, um, yeah, so packed for my trip and all that. I was actually ready to go Monday night. I guess it was because it was like an 11 a.m. flight out of Philly.
Right.
And the one thing I didn't realize, I had the same flight number down as I had on the way back.
Really?
Well, every airline does their own thing.
Right.
Like, for example, Southwest, which would be in the stupid shit that I saw segment tonight, but not for this reason. The way Southwest does theirs is if you go from city A to city B to city C, city D, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
That's all part of the same route, the same route number.
Okay.
So what American did, and I flew American because I'm a real American.
There you go.
I fight for the rights of every man.
Ah.
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it when I made the reservations or anything like that. I didn't realize it until I checked in for my flight. Or actually, it wasn't even that. It was pulling up the. No, it was pulling up the QR code so I could get by TSA.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I looked, and the one thing I will tell everybody, if you're ever going to pick somebody up from the airport, and especially in Mike's case, since he's only about 10 minutes away from there and he picked me up yesterday. Sorry that I had to make you do that. But the one thing is, I will give you this tip right now. Always search the airline and the flight number, like American Airlines Flight 2227. Instead of sitting there in the cell phone waiting lot or whatever, especially if you're close to the airport, watch that little airplane icon just go across the country, from, in my case, from West Palm up to Philly. And then you get the Pac-Man, and then you get the Space Invader thing going. Oh wait, that's National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah.
But you can actually track the flight. Like the one time I went out to Seattle, and I was texting them ahead of time. I'm like, listen, we're leaving an hour late. There's storms here, blah, blah, blah. And then when they picked me up, and this is quite a few years ago, and the only reason why I knew we left to the north and then hooked the left to go out west was because I saw Red Bull Stadium, the soccer stadium in Harrison, New Jersey.
Okay.
So, and it says right there on the overhang that protects a lot of the fans there, it had the logo, Red Bull Stadium. So we're like, why the hell did they go up to New York before going west? I was like, well, they're trying to find an open area where they can fly through it and not deal with thunderstorms or anything.
Right.
Oh, okay. But so the one thing I will tell you is, if you don't like waiting in a cell phone waiting lot or anything like that, just Google American Airlines 2227 or Southwest Flight 425 or something like that. Usually the first or second link is a FlightAware link. You don't even have to sign up for the site. You just need the basic information of
That's true. That's true.
So that's all you really need it for, And I was tracking it on the way down because especially on the way home, we were 2 hours late, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So I made some notes here on my phone here because, that was more plane-wise on the way home.
Okay.
But, so I got there early on Tuesday, Ubered down or lifted down, whatever it was. So I go down there, get my things, get a coffee, whatever, hopped on the plane. And I started doing research for the Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night shows.
Okay.
So, but Tuesday night was more me just sitting there being a buffoon, nothing really that was pertaining to me, but if I wanted to hop in, I could.
Okay.
So, luckily for me, because I have enough miles right now, I could get Wi-Fi and access all different things for whatever long. So I go there and I started watching Defoe's show, Jeff DeForest.
Mm-hmm.
On his show, he had Kate and Bradar, who Bleacher Brothers had on Thursday night.
Okay.
And we had Larry Colmus. It was the second time Larry Colmus was on Defoe's show.
Okay.
So I was doing my homework because, I'm trying to catch anything I can with Kate and Bradar because I couldn't find anything really on the internet that was like really interesting other than, okay, well, she was at TVG, then she left for HRTV, she was doing other things, she came back, that sort of thing. So, but we didn't even use the tip sheet that I had. So I did my work and everything, and so forward ahead to Wednesday, and this is where the fun shit happens.
All right.
And this is where you're in Florida. So I walk down the street to Target. Oh, wait. Let me backtrack to Tuesday. AJ throws me my sweatshirt right away because I left it down there in January.
Right.
So when I get back to the hotel, I throw it on the bed. This comes out. My earbuds where, if I'm going for a walk,
Right.
and I actually want to listen for things, like if I go to the supermarket, I'll put them on just so I can try to not notice everybody.
Makes sense.
So that came in there. I thought I lost it at the hotel when I was leaving that Sunday morning because remember that Sunday morning, I had an early morning flight, like a 7 a.m. flight because I wanted to be back for the Eagles game.
Right.
So I thought I left it in the hotel, but I got it back. I had to reprogram it. And then I realized, this is a micro USB cord. Look at my cords. Everything is the USB-Cs now. I got to go to Target. Oh, crap. I don't have a brick for it either. Or actually, I could have gotten away with not having a brick, but the USBs weren't working. The regular USB ports weren't working. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not playing around. Let me just get the brick because if the worst thing that happens is I have another brick around the apartment.
Right.
So I grabbed the cord, I grabbed the brick, and this guy comes up to me, goes, that box does come with a cord. And I'm like, and I felt like saying, no, it doesn't. It comes with a brick. It comes with the cord. No, it doesn't. Besides, he's saying it's going to be a 3-foot cord. I got a 5-foot cord in my hand. So I get a couple extra feet on there. So I end up grabbing the cord. And then I go back and open the box. There's no cord. So glad I didn't listen to him.
Right.
So I went there and went to do the Wednesday. I was actually doing a lot of work behind the scenes stuff because I did a fact sheet for Mark Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing all this stuff, So and I was trying to catch up with everything because I was trying to get the Derby stuff done. And we go over there Wednesday night because the hotel that I'm at is like right down the street from the world headquarters.
Okay.
As I like to call it.
Right.
By the way, the world headquarters is probably about the size of the dining room at that. But, so we did the Wednesday show, and Mark Cassie comes on, and we're talking, and I'm Yeah, I'm not leading it. AJ's leading it, and I showed the video. I shared the video. I said, "Yeah, I'm actually prepared for something once in a while, or something to that effect." He goes, "You've handicapped this way too much," or something like that. I was like, "Hey, I'm being prepared for this interview." But yeah, but Mark Cassidy was cool. It's just a shame his horse couldn't win. But yeah, so we had that. Then Wednesday night, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, which is literally 100-foot walk from the door. And I think the Panthers game was Wednesday night. So if it was Tuesday night, so be it. Um, I forgot it was in Panthers country. Now, granted, I mean, since the Flyers are out of the playoffs, I don't have a rooting interest in this.
Right.
I just hope for game sevens and double overtimes
Right.
and all that crazy stuff like what happened last night. So all of a sudden, Florida scores, and you hear in another section of the restaurant, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm in South Florida, duh. So they won that, and you know, Thursday we prepped for the show for that show, and whatever. So I'm finally ready. We had Kate and Bradar on, and we all felt bad for her because um, the program director, Chris Visser, he scheduled her for 8:30, 8 o'clock, whatever it was. Oh, by the way, we pulled her out of a dinner for FanDuel TV and the Kentucky Derby. So AJ's like, we're not going to keep you long. We know
Right.
dinner and blah, blah, blah. So, and so that was a blast as well. Caton was great. Mark Cassie was great. Um, you know, and I found out from the PD, the program director, he likes what I'm doing with the Also Eligible show.
Oh, cool.
So he likes that I'm breaking things down on here. Like, this is what I expect in this race. I expect a speed duel here, and what happens if it doesn't, and all that. Like, all the things I break down.
Right.
So, meanwhile, I think it was Wednesday I started sending emails out. I can't get into my FanDuel Racing account. Now, I was having problems on Monday,
Oh.
but I didn't email until Wednesday because, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So I finally emailed. I said, "Listen, I'm not getting the email. I'm not getting the text messages for the two-factor authentication. Blah blah blah. The email's fine." So they said, "All right, well, tell us your email, your username, all this stuff." So I was like, "Okay, well, username's this, but I think it's that because it's been a while, and when you log in with your email password."
Right.
Everything checked. I verified the phone number. So finally, about 4:30, 5 o'clock on Saturday, and we'll get into Saturday. Oh, I've done everything I could. We don't know what's going on. I said, probably something on my end. Thank you for checking, blah, blah, blah. I gave him a great review and everything. I said, listen, I'm not complaining about his, what he did, because he did everything he was supposed to do in those emails.
Okay.
It was just that we just couldn't figure out what the problem was.
Right.
I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell everybody what happened after that. So Friday, AJ calls me. And I feel bad because, I told you yesterday, in a way I feel like a burden because, like, oh, I got to go see Joe or something like that, Hey, you got work, you got family, that comes before me. I'm like, the way I feel, in a way, I'm like 6th or 7th in the pecking order, and I'm okay with that. And, if you can't do something, you can't do something. It's fine.
Okay.
So he suggests, and I think somebody suggested this ahead of time. Um, if you want, you can go over to the Palm Beach Kennel Club. I said, funny thing is, I was looking at that the other night. So I go over there, and the track is still there, the dog track. Obviously, you can't, dog racing was banned 2017, 2018, something like that. So it's been going for a while.
Okay.
But they still have the poker room. They still have simulcasting. They just don't have live dog racing anymore.
Gotcha.
So I was there for about a couple of hours. I watched the Kentucky Oaks. I played a couple of races. I actually had two races blindly. I hit a race at Penn National where it won by that much.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Actually, both races I won by that much.
Hmm.
And I hit the first race at the Meadowlands. So I made up for some of the money I lost. Went back, did a couple of things, and I will say this: I was very upset with Five Guys.
They didn't come through for you?
There's only three guys behind the counter. I mean, there were five people working, but two of them were females. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I kind of don't like five different men playing with my meat either. But so
go on.
So little by little, we get everything done. I knew I had an early day on Saturday, so I just crashed early, and then went down to Gulfstream Park. Spent a couple hours there. Buffet there was good and everything. Not going to complain about a little thing, but Gulfstream wasn't as crowded as I thought it would be.
That's surprising.
But then again, maybe because they have OTBs and Pennsylvania doesn't anymore because, they basically phased out over time. But we stayed there for a couple hours. AJ said, I'll come back after the race and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, I started doing a couple of things, watched the race, and then we go up the street to Miller's Ale House. Had dinner. Nick, who was on Tuesday's show, he goes, oh, why don't you come over? We'll watch the Canelo fight. You want to go? Yeah, sure, no problem. So he had friends and family there. He had his man cave and everything. There was about 10 of us there watching the fight.
Okay.
So we watched the fight. Got back around like almost 1 o'clock in the morning because the fight was late.
Right.
So I ended up pretty much just crashing after that because I was like, you know what? So then Sunday, that's when I had a lot more fun going on with this. So, well, first of all, the flight was 2 hours late.
Yeah.
Now I heard it might have been that the staff, the pilots timed out or something. I don't know, but I was hearing. But the thing is, by the time my flight was ready to board, yeah, I mean it was like Kentucky Derby Parks, where everybody's there, packed in there.
Wow.
And you got, as soon as the people that are about to check in, people for my flight, people from another gate gets on the mic, So another guy says, "Hey, let's get on the plane as soon as possible, so that they don't time out and blah blah blah." Okay. So I go to, I get up because I had a Starbucks drink when I was there because I figured, hey, I'm not falling asleep, but I still did for about 10 minutes. So, and I put down a bunch of notes. Well, first of all, because there was that backup of that delay of over 2 hours for my flight,
Yeah.
there were two flights from Philly apparently leaving near the same time.
Okay.
So I heard people complain, "Oh, it's nuts that you have two flights." Well, I wanted to say, well, my flight's like two hours, fucker. I don't want to hear you have to say. So then this one guy, he was Middle Eastern. I'm not saying he's a terrorist. If you want to say that, go right ahead. You can put words in my mouth. I don't give a shit. He tries to cut the line with the group that I'm in. Because the thing is, with American Airlines, and I don't even know why that they have the double rope setup, because you have one set of ropes for groups 1 to 4 and
Right.
one for groups 5 to 9.
Right.
Well, you're not calling groups 1 and 5. You're calling group 1,
Right.
then group 2,
Right.
then 3, and then 4, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So a guy cuts the line. Now, if we were in a area where we're not under federal surveillance, because technically you are on federal land, you're in an airport,
Right.
governed by TSA and all this other stuff and all that. So if we were just standing at McDonald's or whatever, I would say, hey, buddy, the line ends there. It starts back there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So, kind of like A Christmas Story
Gotcha.
when Ralphie goes to see Santa.
Right. Right.
But he scanned his thing ahead of time. But I wasn't giving a shit because we're in this we're in this line. We're both going to get there around the same time. So then I go back to my seat, which is the next to last row. It was just the way it was planned. It was like, that's the only window seat on the right hand side. Okay, click. Because I like the window seat because I like to see things going by, even though when you look out the window, it's going like super slow, but you're really going 500 miles an hour.
Right. Right.
So I ended up dozing off for like 10 minutes. Oh, wait. Let me backtrack a little bit. So you go through the whole spiel about going to the whole spiel. Well, first of all, I go back to my seat. That guy that was cutting line was sitting right next to me the whole time.
Wow.
Oh my God, great.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying, you know what? Thankfully, I didn't say anything.
Right.
So we're getting ready to leave. He decides to put his tray down and start eating whatever chicken or whatever the hell he was eating right before we left. It's like, dude, you can't wait till you're 10,000 feet. I didn't say anything, but whatever. And then we get to the fun part. Remember, I couldn't get those FanDuel texts?
Yeah.
Well, I put my phone in airplane mode. And as I put my phone into airplane mode, I see the Phillies got it to 8-7.
Right.
So I'm like, let me see if the game's over before we leave, or game's over, or the Phillies come back to win, or what they actually did, they tied the game to 1 extra innings. So I turn it off. I get the alert for the Phillies. And then 33 text messages that I did not get when I was down there in Florida. and also some of the text messages, a couple of them from here before I went down to Florida from
Right.
FanDuel. I missed union messages, but that's the union messages. They're not that big of a deal. I mean, I can respond at my leisure. So I did. I had that. Steve texted me. He said, "Oh, I'm at Parks," and he showed me a picture of the advertising board that they have there. It's like, "Oh yeah, here's the horses for the Kentucky Derby." So he showed me that, and I apologized. I said, "Dude, I would have saw that on Friday, but I wasn't getting all my text messages, so I didn't get that. I had a couple of scam texts. I had all these. I had 33 texts that came in. Boom, 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 and then I went back into airplane mode. So I was listening to Spotify and then went to my podcast. I must have dozed off for like no more than 10 minutes. And I had the window open like I do now.
Right.
I guess it was him. I wake up and the window is shut.
Hmm.
All right, well, we can shut it, but when we approach for landing, I need to see the stadium. So fuck you, buddy.
Right. Right.
So since I didn't have time to, so I got the 33 text messages, the FanDuel ones and the other ones, and finally, well, the thing is, when you're in Florida, you can use FanDuel Racing, but you can't use the sports book or the casino
Hmm.
because the state of Florida is in bed with Hard Rock Casino because of the Native Americans and everything like that.
Oh. Okay.
And they actually went to Supreme Court and they said no, can't do it. It's theirs.
Right.
So so I so first thing I did when we landed and we got off the runway and we were taxiing, I was like, okay, let me see something here. FanDuel Casino, boom, log in, bing, yes, it's working. So did I forget anything about that whole trip?
Yeah. 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 What's one more thing? What was it? Looking over your shoulder, what you were doing? You were doing something. You were trying to look and see what you were doing. You were. Was that part of it?
Oh well, what I did was
Yeah.
well, the thing is, and I've said it to you, I said it to my eye doctors and everything like this, and I said, don't mind me. I prefer to keep my text as small as possible because if they're going to read this, congratulations, you can read small font. So, so I was like typing away like this, like just to. So he doesn't read here. Dry guy tries to cut line, end up sitting next to me. Trade down while we were waiting to I put to start, but to take off.
Right.
Turned airplane mode on and off. Well, that wasn't pertaining to him. The 2 flights from Philly, that wasn't pertaining to him. But I put all the stuff in there, but I just deleted it. So, but that was the trip for the trip. The 35-minute version of the story. But I said we weren't going to get much into the way of sports tonight, but Sovereignty did win the Kentucky Derby, and AJ tells me when I got in the car, he goes, "Dude, did you see what Citizen Bull did in the Derby?" I'm like, "No, why?" Because I actually was listening to the actual track announcer
Right.
because the feed was a couple of seconds ahead of NBC in the room.
Okay.
So Travis Stone, the track announcer, I didn't really pay attention to the very start. But what Citizen Bull did was he pulled a Bayern when Bayern won the Breeders' Cup Classic pre-pandemic, like 2017, 2018. Citizen Bull took out horses 2, 3, 5, and 6. Whoop!
Wow.
So, but, so, but yeah, Bayern, Citizen Bull took him out. Sovereignty was closing past journalists in the lane to win the Derby. Good Cheer came from off the pace to win, and it seemed like the best place to run was 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes wide.
I saw that.
So, but yeah, that's one thing I would tell everybody. Um, sometimes you get false. Sometimes you get false biases. Um, you know, if your horse is wide, sometimes that's the jockeys are racing their 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 races a day on the main track. They're going to notice things there, and they're going to notice little things
Yep.
with the track all the time. I mean, they could probably just look at the dirt and say, "Ooh, speed today. Ooh, closer today." And and I'm a believer that when you get a rainstorm, everything resets with the way that you run on the track and everything. But and like for example, Parks is always known for having a dead rail. Mountaineer Park is known for a dead rail where the best place to run is 4, 5, 6 wide over there in West Virginia. So it's all these little things that sometimes you can pick up, sometimes you don't until it's too late, and some you just don't at all. But and sometimes you luck into a horse.
Well, wasn't Sovereignty? Didn't he run on the Churchill Downs before?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he won the Street Sense in October last year.
Okay.
Opening day, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so he won. But Sovereignty may not run in the Derby.
Oh.
Let me pull this up here. Let me see here.
Because I told you my Uber passenger was thinking about picking Sovereignty.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
Let me see what I'm looking. Kentucky Derby.
I wonder if I should tell her that she owes me for the last Uber ride since Sovereignty didn't win. I mean, since Sovereignty won, but she didn't pick Sovereignty.
Yeah.
She owes me.
You ain't getting my $24. Okay, so Sovereignty came out of Saturday's race in good shape, except for maybe a superficial scrape on his right front pastern, whatever that is. Pastern, I mean. He's far from definite to move on to Pimlico to pursue the Triple Crown at the Preakness in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We want to do what's best for the horse, said Bill Mott. Normally, of course, you always want to think about Triple Crown, and that's not something we're not going to think about. We just got to come to a conclusion probably in the next few days, but it's not going to be this morning. Mott did say that it was a scrape, not a cut. It looks like a superficial thing, blah, blah, blah. It's typical this day and age that the indecision about running back in 2 weeks. Horses are usually given 4 to 6 weeks between starts, and that the schedule just to get to the Kentucky Derby is a rigorous one. Sovereignty won the Fountain of Youth on March 1st and finished second in the Florida Derby March 29th. The Belmont is June 7th. That would give Sovereignty 5 weeks between races, a similar time frame we had between the Florida Derby to the Kentucky Derby. Um, so the Belmont's going to be running 1.25 miles at Saratoga because of the track setup.
Yeah.
Journalism came out in good order. For a horse that never previously ran or trained on a wet track, journalism, to be able to do what he did on those types of conditions, I thought it was a valiant effort. Decisions pending on journalism as well. Sovereignty in journalism will remain at Churchill Downs until such decision is made where they're going. Baeza shipped back to California. The trainer, John Sheriff, said Baeza got a little worked up in the walkover from the backside to the paddock, but didn't believe it impacted his race. No, he was closing.
Yeah.
If that race was another furlong, he might have won.
Yeah.
Cassie will most likely point Sandman for the Belmont, but left the door slightly open for the Preakness. He said more than likely Belmont, but crazier things have happened. And crazy old man D-Way Lucas, he said, you laughing at that comment?
Yes.
Oh, he is a crazy old man. What is he, like 112?
113, but who's counting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost my screen. Here it is. American Promise would run into Preakness. He believes things tightened up on American Promise when he tried to split Citizen Bull and Neo Equos at the half-mile pole. Lucas has won the Preakness 7 times, including last year with Cesar Gray. So, aside from American Promise, it's not expected that any of the horses who finished 8th through 19th in the Derby would run in Baltimore.
That's including Bradford's horse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Horses who did not run in the Kentucky Derby that are pointing to Preakness are Clever Again, who won the Hot Springs Stakes at Oak Lawn. Heart of Honor, who was runner-up to Admire Daytona in the UAE Derby. Gosger, who won the Lexington Stakes. Pay Billy, who gets the automatic invite for winning the Federico Tessio. That was at Laurel. Rodriguez, the Wood Memorial, who was scratched a couple days before the Derby. He will be running.
Okay.
And River Thames, the third place finisher in the Bluegrass. So, so we're looking at right now, just with the new shooters, if they all run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new shooters. And then American Promise is 7. Sovereignty is 8 if they choose to do so. Cassie, if he goes crazy, would be 9 or whatever number I'm up to. I don't even remember. But, so that's everything with that. So, add a little Kentucky Derby there as well. So, but that's why I went down there, because we were doing Kentucky Derby stuff all week. I took it as an advantage to go down there and, got to see Palm Beach Kennel Club. Got to see Gulfstream Park again. Not as packed. I actually got to wander around a little bit, so unlike last time I was stuck on the second floor all day. But so that was everything with that. So now one guy who will be wandering around, but this guy will be wandering around to look for a job, is Justin Tucker.
Yep.
So his career, unlike those 16 women, his career does not end in a happy ending.
Nope.
And I shouldn't make fun of something like that happened, but you gotta, the way that we are, we're going to joke around about some things, but we acknowledge the seriousness of everything that's involved.
Yep.
So, Baltimore released Justin Tucker today, parting ways with the NFL's most accurate kicker amid an investigation by the league for sexual misconduct. Now, They did draft a kicker in the 6th round. And I'll get into that in a second, but something tells me, and if I'm wrong, so be it. I'm not going to be telling you guys, I'm not always right because I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Oh, man.
Have you read my articles lately?
Yes, I have.
But I get the feeling that not only did they draft their kicker, they said, well, I'm thinking like maybe there's some additional things that hasn't been released that we don't know about.
Right?
So maybe they're saying, cut ties with them.
Possible.
So that's what I'm thinking. And of course, Executive Vice President, General Manager Eric Acosta had a fluffed up statement. Sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult. And this is one of those instances.
He said that with a straight face?
I think it was the press release.
Okay, gotcha.
Considering our current roster, we have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker. And a little Tucker, too.
Okay.
Justin created many significant, unforgettable moments of Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in the next chapter of their lives. So something tells me that there may be something that we don't know about. And even if there is nothing, I think they're making sure they don't leave themselves behind the 8 ball with not having a kicker or anything like that. Even with the kicker that they drafted in the 6th round.
Right.
So the move comes less than 2 months after team president Sashi Brown said the Ravens would wait on making a decision on Tucker until the NFL finished its investigation. I don't think the investigation's over.
No, it's not.
But the uncertainty of Tucker's future ramped up on April 26th when Baltimore made the historic move of selecting kicker Tyler Loop in the 6th round of the NFL draft. It marked the first time in the franchise's 30-year history that it drafted a kicker.
Wow. That says a lot.
Yeah. Now, remember, for those that are saying, well, what about this Cleveland Brown and blah, 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 blah? Well, when Cleveland moved to Baltimore, all the history of the Cleveland Browns stayed in Cleveland. Even though they weren't technically an expansion franchise, even though they played like it.
Right.
They were considered an expansion franchise, even though they weren't. Or a team that was starting a new history, or whatever you want to, whatever the right verbiage is. So if you were to argue that, oh yeah, they drafted so and so in 1982, I'd be like, time out.
Right.
Cleveland history stayed in Cleveland, and you just do what you have to do. So
kind of like something we were talking about earlier. You could put the Cleveland Browns team under the name of a cover Cleveland football team.
You know what? We're going to get back to the story here in a second, but the Knicks won Game 1.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What?
108-105.
Well, wowzer, wow. Exactly. So it's going to go 6 games now.
So you think.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying. Because I caught the screen real quick.
Uh-huh.
I was like, huh?
Right.
So just to let you guys know, we talked about this numerous times on the show. He's been accused of misconduct by 16 massage therapists. Let's see, 2 chicks at the same time. Oh, wait. So it was from 8 high-end spas and wellness centers in the Baltimore area, according to the Baltimore Banner. Now, remember the whole bullshit with Alex Rodriguez years ago, where he got suspended for a year and a half?
Yeah.
It wasn't the main Miami newspaper that implicated him. It was some rag newspaper, just like the Baltimore Banner was. Now, I'm not calling it a rag in a bad sense.
Right.
It's just that it's this paper. It's like you're saying,
who the fuck is that guy?
Right.
So, think of that newspaper's human being. That's what Conor McGregor would say. But the thing is, this rag newspaper in Miami, or wherever it was in the Miami area, that got A-Rod suspended. The Baltimore Banner got Justin Tucker into trouble.
Yes, they did.
Eventually losing his job.
Right.
So, one thing I will say for future cases like this, even though it'll probably be TMZ or whatever, because papers are dying. I will say that if you hear a name that you don't recognize, don't write it off.
Nope.
Ask A-Rod, and now ask Justin Tucker about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But so they all 16 women alleged misconduct reportedly occurring between 2012 and 2016, Tucker's first 5 seasons in the NFL. Now, here's the thing. We were all wild and crazy guys in our younger years. Well, most of us.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, and I don't know his personal life, nor do I care. I don't care how long he was married to his wife, or what side piece he had, or even if he was married or was dating somebody else at the time, whatever. But the thing is, I think that he thought, oh, well, I'm just going to get away with this. This is 2012. We have some of the Me Too movement about to start, but, it's long before any of that. So,
Right.
Actually, it started right at the end. Actually, the last occurrence, if the last occurrence was 2016, was right around the start of the Me Too movement. Because before Super Bowl 52, I walked over to Acme, and the Eagles cheerleaders made an appearance. And I said to myself, man, I want to be part of the Me Too movement.
Right.
Yeah, I want to be a victim of the Me Too movement. But so some therapists refused to work with him again. It resulted in 2 spas banning him. Tucker denied it, said that the allegations were unequivocally false. I'm sure his wife helped him spell unequivocally. I'm kidding. So he described the Banner's article as desperate tabloid fodder. His lawyers have said that he's never been banned from the 2 spas. But has he sued the Baltimore Banner?
I don't think so.
So the NFL began its investigation in February. Roger Goodell described the allegations against Tucker as serious, but indicated there will be no updates until the investigation was complete. So anything that comes out now will probably be a leaked story of some sort. And they're not going to, I imagine, and that's why I say there might be something else going on here.
Right.
Because of the fact that Roger Goodell said in February that there's not going to be any more stories about that. We're not going to, update until this investigation is closed. And for the most part, they're not going to do anything with this case until all the court cases and whatever the litigation are until it's over. I mean, like take for account Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, he beat the shit out of another guy at the Cromwell in Vegas. In the hotel going to the after hours nightclub or whatever that nightclub is there.
Right.
So, and he got 3 games for it. I think it was 3 games. I think it was 3 games because I ended up drafting him in fantasy and I had to sit him for 3 games. But I was like, fuck it. I got this guy. I can suffer 3 weeks. But the NFL, you're not going to hear anything for a while about this case until everything's settled. So it may be a couple of years. So it may just be Tucker retires and goes on with regular life after football when this occurs. Who knows?
You don't know.
But so they're going. So the way that this is going to work. He was cut with 3 years left on a 4-year, $22 million contract extension. The Ravens won't have to pay his $4.2 million salary this year because none of it was guaranteed. So Baltimore can gain $4.2 million in salary cap space this year by designating him as a post-June 1st cut, which would split his $7.5 million dead money cap hit over 2 seasons.
Save us some money, okay?
So they're going to rely on a new kicker for the first time in 14 years. The favorite to replace Tucker is Loop. Tyler Loop. So he kicked 6 of 9 field goals from 50 yards plus in college in Arizona, including a 62-yarder last season. Tucker had been working out and kicking at the Ravens facility in recent weeks, but I think they had rookie camp. They had rookie mini camp on Sunday. Harbaugh addressed the team's kicker situation by saying, "Whatever we decide to do over the next few weeks will be based on football."
Okay.
But the one thing is, if it is football, but I sense here, for whatever reason, I sense that maybe there may be something a little bit more that we don't know,
right?
That we may never know, or at least not know for a couple of years even. But it may be that his career's over by then.
Well, they did say last year was one of the worst years of his career as far as kick is concerned, the accuracy.
If you had this hang over your head, you're going to be missing kicks left and right.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you remember the 2008 World Series and how J.C. Romero did this, he was doing his hearings for his grievance for a positive drug test during the World Series.
Okay.
But they didn't release the suspension until after the World Series when everything was done and all the union litigation was completed. So
right.
That's why, like, when Jurickson Profar got his 80-game suspension, his suspension was the announcement of his suspension was after everything that's been done.
Okay.
So they don't release anything until the time to announce a suspension.
Right.
So, they don't talk about any of that stuff, and probably he had some of those things that were starting to pop up and that's probably where he was starting to mess up because I don't think it was a physical thing. I think it was a mental thing.
So you might be right. John Tucker's career may be over.
Yeah. So he's the last one remaining from the 2012 championship team. He's widely known for his opera singing.
Really?
and comedic commercials for a local convenience store. Let me see here. Okay. All right, here you go. So here's one of the commercials that he had. And I'm sure Royal Farms will not be endorsing him anymore if they probably stopped endorsing him years ago because contracts run out, whatever. But here's the commercial from Justin Tucker with Justin Tucker for Royal Farms.
And now, professional football kicker Justin Tucker.
Royal Farms coffee is the one for me. Fresh and hot, it hits the spot. Get yourself a cup at Royal Farms. I'm sure you will agree. 2 sugars and some cream, that is my dream. My cup of Royal Farms.
Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
I cry BS.
Well, I doubt he's singing that, but
Exactly.
wait. We got the operas. All right, we'll play a little bit of this one too. That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently he is a opera singer as well. But it is what it is. So whatever. So, so he has the highest field goal conversion rate, 89.1%. He has the longest field goal kick in history with a 66-yarder in 2021. He only had a 73.3 conversion rate last year. That ranked 31st in the NFL, and I think it was more up here than it was his foot.
Yeah.
But the one question is, well, he's a free agent. He can't be disciplined. No, he still can. As a free agent, Tucker is still subject to discipline by the NFL under its league personal conduct policy.
That's a big thing.
So, because it isn't like working redacted where you get fired, it's like get out. At least with the NFL, it's like 30. There's like 32 businesses in one entity. You can pop up there, you can pop up the UFL or whatever. But he's free to do whatever. But I mean, I just get that feeling that there's something else that's going to break, and it may not be until the end of the investigation, however long that'll be,
Right.
whether it's a couple of months from now or however longer it takes, But I mean, you don't think there's anything new, but
No, but we'll find out once the investigation is done. Like you said, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months, it could be 2 years.
and by that time he may be out of football altogether.
It might be.
So you're suspended 6 games. I'm retired, fucker.
Right?
But yeah, and I can hear the PD saying, "Did you have to go double barrel middle finger?" Yeah. Hey, you want to know why we can? Because we're not regulated by the FCC. This isn't regular terrestrial radio. We can do whatever we want on here. Now, granted, we would have our own rules or whatever. we could have our own Bleacher Brother rules and all that, but you know, AJ sets the rules, and he hasn't told me I shouldn't be cursing or anything.
Okay.
I try not to curse, but sometimes it's a nice sweetener to everything.
The fragrance of it. Yes, the
So,
smell. Oh, that's what that smell was. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
but
But yeah, so we'll see what happens with him. Before we get to the stinky stories I saw, because you're talking about things that stink.
yeah, I did. Yeah.
The NHL draft lottery was tonight, and the New York Islanders won the lottery. They moved up from a 3% chance of winning to get the number one pick.
Oh, dang.
They had a 3.5% chance of winning. They finished 10th in the standings. They're in the midst of a front office change. They'll pick first for the fifth time in history, the first time since John Tavares was picked in 2009. Back then, the Islanders were playing in Uniondale in an aging arena. They're now at the UBS Arena next to Belmont Park. If they hang on to the choice, it'll be fifth time franchise history. Blah, 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 blah.
Which they should.
Now, the Utah Hockey Club, the Stormin' Mormons, as I like to call them,
Right.
they won the second lottery drawing and made the jump from 14th to 4th under the rules limiting teams from moving up no more than 10 spots in the draft order. So the Sharks will pick second. They entered the day with the best odds at 18.5% and a 25.5% chance of winning the number one choice. They finished. San Jose finished last for a second consecutive year, was seeking to become the NHL's first team to win the lottery and pick first in consecutive years. Blackhawks will pick third. Flyers dropped from 4 to 6 because the Islanders moved up. And
Right.
now, one thing I do have to admit. Now, we may have the whole frozen envelope thing with the Patrick Ewing case. We may have other things going on with everything here, but we may have, or let me rephrase that. Let me start over what I was saying here.
Okay.
Well, the one thing we did see today was the actual lottery was actually held on a stage with the lottery balls and the lottery hopper right there on the stage.
Oh, okay.
Now, granted, the NHL lottery, everybody was in their offices, or they were sitting at home, like the one guy for the Islanders, Morrow, I think it was, and you'd have your occasional guy with a whoops, I don't want that one yet. You have guys with their backgrounds, like there was one guy that a second. There we go. Let me just do one thing here.
Okay.
Because what I was trying to say was one guy would look like this, another would look like this,
Right.
another would be like this,
Right.
another would be like that. You know, you get the idea.
I got it.
And sometimes you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall.
Okay.
And how do I get rid of this now?
Nice little place you got there.
There we go.
Oh,
I did it. I did it. I did it.
Yay!
I pooped today.
Good boy.
So, that. Okay. Whoops. There we go. So, I think we're back. And if anybody's watching and they can't hear me, hopefully everything is working. So, because like we're at the point in the show where I just don't, because I was goofing around and trying to goof off there, that everything was messing up there. So let me just do one thing here.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I can still hear myself.
Okay.
Okay.
I can hear you.
But we need that. We need my voice here because we have not one, not two, but 3 stupid shit that I saw stories.
Oh, do tell.
And 2 of them are poop stories. One that we've seen in the news here because we are from Philadelphia.
Right.
We did have this one story. Oh my God. So we have the case of the Delco pooper. And this chick is a little unhinged. Because look at her smiling when I show this on her mugshot.
What the hell?
She's proud that she pooped on command on another car.
Wow.
So just to let you know, this first appeared on TMZ. Christina Marie Solometto from Ridley Park, Pennsylvania, was charged with disorderly conduct, criminal mischief, harassment, and depositing waste on the highway for the Tuesday incident at the corner of 4th and Madison Avenues. I think that's near the train station. She is accused of defecating on a car hood during a dispute with another driver this week in Prospect Park.
Wow.
Well, in honor of this, they're now going to call it Poop Park.
Exactly.
So she was exiting a vehicle, apparently pantsless, moved to the front of another person's car, stopped behind her, sit for a second on the victim's vehicle hood, and then return to the stand, flashing a smile as the other driver shouts at her. Left behind on the hood is a brownish glop.
Jeez.
What can brown do for you?
Right, exactly.
According to the affidavit of probable cause for Solometto's arrest, written by Prospect Park Harry O'Neill, Officer Nicholas Denton was made aware of the video Wednesday. Police identified the offending stain as an accumulation of liquefied human feces. The person who deposited drove away on 4th Avenue into Ridley Township. So she was quickly identified as a suspect. He attempted to reach her using various phone numbers listed for her and family members. Solometto returned a call to O'Neill from a member he had contacted 20 minutes earlier. She said she had a good idea why he was trying to reach her. Nah, Really?
Mm.
She said she did not want to come to the police station and talk about it because she does not really like the police, but would tell them what happened over the phone. So she said that she was heading north on Lincoln Avenue and was the fifth car in line to turn left at a traffic light on the 4th Avenue. 3 cars went through on the Green Avenue, she said, but a fourth, a silver sedan, did not move. Salametto began honking, and the driver of the other vehicle began mocking her in the rearview mirror. She said she was frustrated with the other driver and was having stomach issues, so she pulled around the silver sedan and turned left. She continued toward Madison on 4th when she noticed the other vehicle appeared to be following her. She says she stopped her vehicle and exited and then had an exchange with the other driver. The driver of the silver sedan called her an insulting name, which made her angry. They don't say what it is.
Right.
That's because it's the Daily Times. The Inquirer probably would have said that something about next Tuesday. I wanted to punch her in the face, but I pooped on her car instead and went home.
Mm.
But wait till you hear this. It was a clean poop.
Oh,
It was a clean poop.
wow.
A Facebook page believed to be linked to Salametto had posted Wednesday that it was not her in the video. That post, she got off work to 300 texts, 500 Facebook messages, police calling her, and 100 tags. Stop sending this to me. Stop tagging me. That was not me. It's up my alley, but I can't claim this Delco fame. Let me see if I can find this video. Okay, here's the news story from NBC 10.
Okay.
And this is from the other night. Oh, wait. I have it all ready to go. The screen, that is.
Okay.
Here you go.
Now to this, a bizarre and nasty road rage incident caught on camera is also catching the eyes of police and social media users.
A Delaware County woman is facing multiple charges after she is seen defecating on a car hood. This was all after an apparent dispute with the driver. NBC 10's Lily Zhang was in Prospect Park as the suspect was taken into custody.
The police chief for Prospect Park says he has seen some road rage cases during his career. Somebody cuts someone off, then the drivers might get into a heated exchange, then they typically drive away. But in this case on Tuesday, there was a little more to that, and the incident was captured on video by a bystander.
That video, shared thousands of times on Instagram, shows a woman identified Thursday as Christina Salametto walking to another woman's car. The 44-year-old sits on the hood, or not showing the most graphic part of the video, including when she appeared to defecate on the car.
I know it's being joked about a lot. I know there's all kinds of puns, innuendo, and humor online about this, but the bottom line is we are treating it seriously. No, it can't happen in this community. No town wants this to happen in their town.
Prospect Park Police Chief David Madonna says it happened by 4th and Madison. Like most people in this neighborhood, police say they too found out about the incident through social media.
I didn't think it was real at first.
We thought it was fake news.
It was hilarious in the same sense. Like, to be able to poop on a car like that was impressive, but it was disgusting at the same sense.
Crazy. She had to go.
Christina, do you have a comment?
Salametto was brought to the Prospect Park Police Department Thursday in handcuffs, offering no remarks. She faces a number of charges, including indecent exposure and depositing waste on a highway.
The recognition a town gets over this kind of thing, it's really unwelcome. We don't want this.
Chief Madonna says with any road rage incident, there's always a level of frustration, but never a need for it to escalate.
There's anger. People are in a hurry to get everywhere. Things are certainly tumultuous in our country, to say the least. There's a lot of anger out there, and sometimes this is how it presents itself.
Now, we spoke with the suspect's family a little earlier this evening. They did not agree to an on-camera interview, but they claim that there is more to the story than just the video that's being shared. I am told that they are working on getting an attorney. Reporting in Prospect Park, Lily Zhang, NBC 10 News.
But the one thing is, one of the reporters, as we go back to us for a second, the one thing is, one of the reporters that saw her going from car to police department or wherever it was, they asked her, what did she eat?
Why?
But to poop on command like that, that's...
Well, yeah.
I mean, I can't fart on command anymore. Especially when I got a Ring camera on the apartment next door. I like to give them a little bit of entertainment, something like that.
Right.
Hopefully it's loud enough that it picks up on the on however they pick it up, But and just to let you know, Mike was in Delco that day, so he might have been the one that had to wash his car.
Cost me a pretty penny to get it off my car.
Yeah. Just a garden hose from the local Wawa.
Yeah.
But that was one story that involved poop. And that was close to home, especially close to Mike because he lives in Delco.
Yeah.
Now for stupid shit that I saw, story number 2. And this is another poop story, but this one occurs on Southwest Airlines. And no, I did not fly Southwest Airlines this week. So, a Southwest Airlines passenger allegedly stripped naked, pooped on the seat as the plane landed. She went excremental. So, female passenger on a flight to Chicago allegedly stripped down naked and pooped on her seat as the plane landed. Of course, where did the flight originate from? Philadelphia.
Exactly.
So NBC reported that. So it was flight 418 out of Philadelphia to Chicago Midway. That's one of the few places that you can get to from point A to point B without having to get a connector flight.
Okay.
So, the plane arrived with one passenger shocking the cabin by taking off her clothes and emptying her bowels on a plane seat. Our teams reached out to those on board to apologize for the situation and any delay to their travel planes. Nothing is more important to Southwest than the safety of our customers and employees, and we appreciate the professionalism of our flight crew. I wonder if she was complaining over the fact that Southwest now you can't pick your own seat.
Maybe
that was why. Or maybe she had to take a shit and, it's like, well, you can't go to the bathroom right now because we are close to landing. We are under 10,000 feet. It's unclear what happened to the passenger. The plane was taken out of service for cleaning, according to the report. They had a more serious mishap at Chicago Midway when a landing jet had a near miss with a taxiing jet due to a possible sun glare. And let me tell you, Midway, it's like a postage stamp for an airport compared to some of the other airports. So it's a really small airport. But, yeah, so that's a new one.
That is a new one.
So
she gave her peanuts when she asked them. I tell you.
and that's a 2-hour flight. But nature calls at the wrong times. It happens. So she ended up uh, taking care of business on that seat.
Was the bathroom occupied?
They were landing.
Oh, that's right. You're supposed to be sitting. Oh, yeah, that was nature call. Okay.
So I'm guessing it was that, or maybe she has the ability to just let loose whenever necessary. So, one more story here. Now, this isn't a shit story, but it's a guy who looks like shit. A woman calls police on a homeless man walking his newborn. It turns out it's her neighbor. And this is from People magazine. After a routine walk with his infant daughter, a father of 4 was mistakenly reported as homeless by a neighbor. Wow. You know what? Fuck it. We'll play this video too. Let's see what happens with this.
What I looked like wearing my Patagonia. Someone called the cops on me thinking that I was a homeless person with a baby.
Stop.
So the cop needs to see my ID. This is what I looked like wearing my Patagonia jacket. I was walking my daughter, newborn daughter. She's just a bit over a month. She's, in her fussy newborn stage, so I take her on lots of walks. I go at often in the middle of the night, like all times of the day, and like multiple times a day. It's kind of like our routine, like to give my wife some rest. I did look some disheveled to some degree, like one of my slippers does have a hole in it. And I'm an artist, so most of my clothes have like paint splatters and tears. I'm just focused on my baby and trying to comfort her, not what I look like. So anyways, this was my second walk of the morning. So the family's awake, the kids are in the front yard playing. And then Shepherd, my oldest, is like, hey dad, like there's a police car out front. So I walked out. And as I'm walking out, the police officer's already like walking up towards our house. And we meet like kind of halfway on the lawn. Instantly, he looked at me and he kind of had this look on his face that was like, kind of like, oh, okay. Like he wasn't aggressive or mean or anything. And with that look, I already kind of had a hint that like there must have been some sort of miscommunication or something. So he says, one of your neighbors called and about a homeless person with a baby and was worried about it, and she followed you home. And I was just like, no, I'm just a tired dad, like not a homeless person. And I'm like kind of trying to like laugh it off and just like in shock. And I've gone on several walks back and forth since then, kind of hoping to see her and just be like, hey, I'm your neighbor and I'm not homeless, and not to like be mad or guilt trip or anything. I almost just want to be like, hey, like thanks for keeping an eye out, and then maybe make a friend,
I had to turn it. I couldn't get that. Because it went right to the next video, and it's like, oh shit. But so he's walking his baby. You do whatever you can to try to calm the baby down when it's crying or whatever. So his thing was to walk around the neighborhood. Well, the neighbor thought, what's this homeless guy doing with a baby?
Who are the people in your neighborhood? Get to know your neighbors.
So, and probably he just had a worse looking day than in the past, and he does sound like he is a hippie or whatever. So, and they live off the land or whatever you want to say, but yeah, that's the stupid things I find here, especially when I go into Yahoo. And everybody says, I can imagine people are saying when I say, I found this on Yahoo, which I did. It's like, why the fuck are you using Yahoo? Everybody uses Google now, or Bing, or this or that.
Yep.
I'm like, well, have you ever looked at Google, looked at Yahoo lately? you get all these stories here, and sometimes I can find something here which is off the beaten path, and will get you like, what the hell?
That was definitely one of those.
Yeah. So yeah. So those are the stories I like to do with the stupid shit that I saw stories. So,
You got some on your streamer?
what's that?
You got the message right under your stream elements?
I got that. Yeah.
You got it already? Okay.
Yeah. That one?
Yep, that was the one.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
Okay.
Thankfully, it popped up when I was playing that video, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Boom, 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 done.
Cool.
Okay, video is just about over. And we're all done with the pooping chicken Delco. So, so if you see Mike's car and you're in Delco, feel free to let loose.
Hey! Hey!
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know.
But anyway, so like I said, it was just going to be a shorter show and going away from sports a little bit, you know. But you know, sometimes we need the comedic stuff here, like the Delco pooper and the Southwest pooper and the homeless guy who wasn't really homeless, stuff like that. But you know, but I am back. No vacations again till September.
Oh.
And it'll probably be a staycation because I have an eye doctor appointment that Monday.
Okay.
I purposely scheduled it that way too. So
was that on a national holiday?
It's the Monday before.
Before the national holiday? Okay.
Yeah. And then I get to pee super bright neon yellow all day.
Ah.
Because they put what they do is they put this vegetable dye in you, and it helps them to see your retinas and all that in the back of your eyeball, so they can see like the blood flow and everything like that. It helps them do that, and you just get that effect, which is really cool. Because now, if I was working in my office, purposely don't flush.
Right.
Like,
right.
Who the hell is radioactive?
Yeah.
Me, I'm radioactive.
We gotta go. Let's get out.
Actually, what I should if I have my next test next year, I should do it the day after the national championship game, because that way I can say I'm having one shining moment.
Okay, sir.
And I think Mike's trying to tell me now, shut up and end the show. So, Mike, get out.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, Mike, thank you for joining me. Thanks, everyone watching on YouTube, on X, and on Twitch. Just a reminder, starting this week, no show on Wednesday nights. I'm going into summer schedule mode, so Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 9 o'clock p.m. And probably be starting right on time at 9 o'clock because the Bleacher Brothers show is on summer mode as well, doing their show on Wednesday night until they change things up again. So that is it for now. I do appreciate each and every one of you who took the time to watch. And we will do it live again tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Wherever you're watching the show right now, and we'll do it live. So, Mike, thank you once again. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And, whoops. And I'm just peeking in here for a second. I don't have a way of knowing. Yes, I do. Oh, well. All right, so that's it for now. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll do it tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Good night, everybody.